The one thing that somebody can do in 2009 to improve their fishing is fish where there's fish and follow the hot bite. That's where sites like the Next Bite and some of the other stuff out on the web is invaluable, because you can find out where the hot bite or the next bite is going on. And if you're not on fish, you're not going to catch them. And if you're not on hot fish, you're not going to catch them. I want to catch hot fish. I'm not a Gary Roach. I can't sit on one fish all day long, follow him around with a flasher and get him to bite. Parsons can do that too. I'm Tommy Skarlis. I got to keep moving and grooving, and I want to find an aggressive, suicidal, eat a spark plug if you dropped it in the water fish. So I'm moving and grooving and looking for aggressive fish. You know, my favorite innovation in fishing coming out for 2009 is probably the new Navionics mapping that they've got available. The 2009 cartography and mapping that Navionics is coming out with, they've added, I think I just heard, over 200 or 300 or 400 lakes on the North Chip. And I am so excited because some of those bodies of water, like Little Beta Knock, Green Bay, et cetera, pool number 3 on the Mississippi River, are bodies of water that don't have a lot of really good mapping available, or we have just leapfrogged in front of everybody with that new Navionics mapping, and I am jacked to see that. And then, you know, a close second, the one I talked about earlier, is that Lindy Exchange jig system, to where now it's just going to make fishing a snap. You just exchange your jig heads and you keep moving on. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out. Man, there's a lot of really cool new products coming out in 2009. And we talked in another interview about the Lindy Exchange jig head and some of the new stuff they're coming out with. And I can't really divulge a lot of stuff about, there's some really cool new stuff coming out from Lindy Legendary Tackle. They were purchased by Pradco, and our brand manager is just a genius as far as coming out and with new ideas and new ways to grow Lindy. Lindy was on the leading edge to begin with, and now exponentially we're growing and coming out with new products that are crazy. Some of the new stuff I can talk about is they've got some crappie rigs and the crappie cork that were designed by Todd Huckabee, one of the biggest names in crappie throughout the United States, or North America for that matter. And people are going to want to take a look at that and maybe go to Lindy's website. There's some other stuff that we've got going on as far as like with offshore tackle. You know, I go fishing all the time, and I store my bigger offshore planer boards. I've got, you know, all brands and makes of the offshore planer boards. To manage that many boards in the boat oftentimes can get to be a chore of storing them. The other thing that they've got now is the new mini board. So small I can conceal it off camera and whip it up just like that without any problems. But the new little mini board it's paper thin. It's about the size of a BlackBerry. And you know, I tell you what, man, I am so jacked about this product that I can't begin to explain everything about it and don't have enough time. But the one thing I will say is that the offshore planer boards have always allowed me to reach out and catch more fish, and this new mini board is going to help the whole world get in at a little bit cheaper cost. It's both a left and a right by adjusting the arm that's inside this package. I haven't put it together yet because I'm kind of protecting this one. It's one of the few I have. But it's just something that the average fisherman is going to be able to afford, play with more, catch more fish. And I tell you what, when it comes to crappies, white bass, stripers, smaller species, all the way up to stripers, the big stripers, walleyes, muskies, this little board is going to be a factor in a lot of game plans. Well, the scenario I'm going to look forward to in using the little yellow board is it's going to be a little bit more concealed when I'm out fishing. So some of my fellow competitors might think I'm contour trolling when I'm actually got a board off there that I've hidden. I usually, you know, some of my offshore boards I've got painted black, but you know, so people can't see them in the water and you keep the flag down. But this little guy is going to help me be a little bit, you know, a little bit less mischievous. But the one thing, or maybe a little bit more mischievous, but a little less obvious while I'm doing it. But the other thing that I'm really thinking this is going to be cool with is I fish a ton of crappies with planer boards. It's something that nobody has really even touched yet. And because I don't want some of my little local ponds that I fish in a smaller boat getting decimated, I try to keep it secret. But this little board is going to allow me to reach out to those fish in a way different way now. And it's going to even be more inconspicuous so I can protect my honey holes. And I'm really looking forward to using it for that. So it's got some real life applications. Some other stuff that's really rocking and rolling right now, Evernote E-Techs are continuing to expand their platforms, and they just come out with a new 25 and 30 horsepower E-Techs. All of them are 3-star or European approved as far as the rating is concerned. Not only do they meet all the American EPA standards, but they've also got the European rating on them now, so where they're 3-star compliant across the entire platform. They've come out with the 25 and the 30 horsepower, and I think, you know, with the way things are going right now, with a lot of people still wanting to fish, and we're going to see a ton of people fishing now, that things are changing a little bit in the economic environment, that they're going to be buying smaller engines, and those Evinrude E-Techs, those 25, 30 horses, are really going to explode. You know, and there are so many things that are happening right now that as outdoors people we can afford. I fish with the Humminbird Sidefinder technology. I've been doing it for a long time with the 997s. They've come out with the new 1197s, but they've got a little unit. I've got it on my boat, and all my fellow big-time pros, or a few of them, have given me a little bit of static about using the little mooch unit. You know, but the reason I'm using it is I talk to consumers that buy most of the smaller units. Before I became a pro, I fished with the smaller units because they were affordable. And that Humminbird 797 is an affordable, both sonar, GPS, and side imaging unit, to where now I'm reaching out and seeing things like rock piles, sprinkler heads, underwater obstructions. You know, you lose something, you might be able to go look for it with the side imaging technology. The other day, one of the last times I fished with it, I found a 5-gallon bucket under the water. And you know, in man world, you know, we collect duct tape, we collect baling wire. The tools of life include a 5-gallon bucket, man. So I had to go back and get that 5-gallon bucket. But that side imaging technology is really, really cool. And Humminbird just came out with the new flashers for ice fishing. They've got the 35, the 45, and my favorite, which is the creme de la creme, the 5-color unit, which is the double nickel, or the 55 from Humminbird. And I'm right now really looking forward to using that during the ice fishing season. I've always said, I think it was Vince Lombardi that said, football's a game of inches. Don't quote me on that, but one of those famous football guys said that. He said, football's a game of inches. I think fishing's a game of minutes or seconds, especially competitively speaking. I'm not as good as a Keith Cavaius or a Pat Nye, but what I am is, I think I'm a little bit more efficient or a little faster sometimes, and if I can save 60 minutes, 1 minute at a time, 60 times in a day, I'm gonna pick up an hour of fishing on the competition. You know, and I guess that leads us to a point. It could be Johnny Candle, it could be one of my other fellow competitors, but you know, when you're not on them, and you know you're not on them, and you just can't get out of a funk, and you got that sinking feeling, I hate that. Yeah. I try to be as positive as possible, and that's when it's time for a change. And the one way that I get out of that is, lately I've come back to it. It used to be an old school thing, and I used it when I won the FLW championship, is I washed my hands of it. In other words, if I'm having a bad hair day, if I've had a lot of snags, if I've had a lot of tangles, if I'm moving from one spot to another, I'll take the no-scent soap, Lindy no-scent soap, and I'll wash my hands and rinse them off in the water, and I'll think, I'm done not catching a fish. I might even wash my face. That refreshes you. Kind of like the bullfighters, and just get right back to it, man.